Every single night, Russia launches dozens, sometimes hundreds, of drones toward Ukrainian cities, power stations, hospitals, and apartment buildings. Shaheds, Gerans, and their decoy cousins swarm the skies in waves designed to overwhelm, exhaust, and eventually break through Ukraine's defenses. And for more than 3 years, Ukraine has been forced to respond with missiles that cost hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions, of dollars per shot, to knock down drones that Russia mass produces for as little as $20,000 to $50,000 each. That math has never made sense, and Ukraine knows it. Which is why, on May 7, 2026, a Ukrainian defense technology company called Celebra Tech announced something that could change the entire equation of this war and leave Russia's drone strategy completely obsolete. It's called the Tryzub. In Ukrainian, that word means Trident, the ancient three-pronged symbol of Ukraine itself, unyielding and unmistakable. And just like its namesake, this weapon is designed to strike from a distance, at speed, without warning. It's a laser, an AI-guided, mobile, electrically powered anti-drone laser that burns holes through Russian drones in seconds and costs virtually nothing per shot to fire. Russia has no answer to it, not yet. And if Ukraine deploys it at scale, the entire logic of Moscow's drone campaign may fall apart. To understand just how remarkable the Tryzub is, you first need to understand the problem it was built to solve. Not just the tactical problem, the drones, but the deeper, structural problem underneath it. For 4 years, Russia has been waging what military analysts call an attrition air campaign. The idea is simple and brutal. Don't try to achieve precise, decisive strikes. Just overwhelm. Launch so many drones so frequently that Ukraine's air defense network simply cannot keep up. Make it expensive to defend, make it exhausting, make it feel endless. And the numbers back this up. In March 2026 alone, Russia launched 6,462 Shahed-type drones and related attack systems, an average of 208 per day. On March 24th, it launched 948 in a single 24-hour period, the highest daily figure in the entire war. And the production pace is only going up. Russia's Alabuga facility in Tatarstan, a complex that has used trafficked women from African countries as drone assemblers under false pretenses, is now churning out thousands of Shaheds every month. The Kremlin has set a production target of 6,000 per month, more than 200 per day, for a drone that costs between $20,000 and $70,000 to produce. Now consider Ukraine's side of that equation. A Patriot PAC-3 interceptor missile, the gold standard of air defense, costs between $3 million and $4 million per shot. A NASAMS interceptor runs over $1 million. Even the more affordable Iris-T round comes in at around $430,000 each. Ukraine is burning through multi-million-dollar missiles to swat down cheap, mass-produced drones. Night after night, week after week, year after year. It is a war of attrition by design. And it is a math problem Ukraine cannot win while playing by Russia's rules. That is the problem Celebra Tech set out to solve. Not with another missile, not with another drone, but with something entirely different, something that doesn't have a cost per shot, something that never runs out of ammunition as long as it has electricity, something that fires at the speed of light and hits with the precision of a computer, a laser. Here is what makes this story so remarkable. Celebra Tech is not a defense giant with decades of experience and billions in government contracts. It is a Ukrainian startup, born in the middle of a war, solving a problem that some of the most advanced defense companies in the world have been working on for years without deploying a solution at scale. Ukraine took a different approach. It didn't have decades or billions. It had a war, a deadline, and an urgent need. So it moved fast. It iterated in the field. It took feedback directly from the soldiers watching Russian drones fly over their heads at 2 in the morning, and it built something that works. The Tryzub was first publicly mentioned in December 2024 by Vadim Sukharevsky, the first commander of Ukraine's unmanned systems forces. From that initial mention, the system went from raw concept to approved combat prototype in roughly 17 months. For comparison, a typical Western defense procurement cycle, from concept to fielded weapon, can take 10 to 20 years. That is not a typo. 10 to 20 years. Ukraine did it in 17 months. And that tells you everything you need to know about the kind of military Ukraine has become. So what exactly is the Tryzub and how does it work? Let's start with the basics. The system is built on a trailer-mounted platform, which means it can be towed by a standard military or commercial vehicle and deployed quickly to any location. There is no fixed base to build, no elaborate installation process. You unhitch the trailer, power it up, and it is ready to engage. That mobility matters enormously in a conflict like this one, where threats appear anywhere, over a power station in Kharkiv, a railway junction in Dnipro, a hospital in Mykolaiv, or a residential neighborhood in Kyiv. The core of the system is the laser itself, a directed energy weapon that concentrates a beam of light into a precise, high-intensity point. When that beam is held on a target for a matter of seconds, it generates enough heat to burn through electronics, optics, wing surfaces, and structural components. Celebra Tech released video footage showing the Tryzub burning a hole through a section of metal armor in just 3 to 4 seconds. Against a lightweight drone airframe, the effect is even faster. Now here are the numbers that matter. Against small, fast-moving FPV drones, the kind Russia uses for close-range attacks on soldiers and vehicles, the Tryzub has an effective engagement range of 800 to 900 meters. That covers the most dangerous part of the kill zone. Against reconnaissance drones, mid-sized UAVs used for spotting and target acquisition, the system can engage out to 1,500 meters. And then there is the headline figure. Against Shahed-type drones, the primary instrument of Russia's nightly terror campaign, Celebra Tech says the Tryzub is currently being tested at ranges approaching 5 kilometers. That is 3.1 miles, reached at the speed of light. With no warning and no miss distance, what guides it to its target? An AI-assisted targeting system linked to optical sensors and radar. The system automatically acquires, tracks, and engages incoming aerial threats without requiring a human operator to manually aim and fire at each individual drone. The crew is there to monitor and authorize, but the mechanics of finding and locking onto a target? The machine handles that. It is faster and more accurate than any human eye and trigger finger, especially at night, in bad weather, at ranges where visual detection is nearly impossible. Before we continue, if you're watching this and you haven't subscribed yet, now is a good time. We cover stories like this every week, not just the headlines, but the technology, the strategy, and what all of it actually means for the outcome of this war. Hit subscribe. It takes 2 seconds, and you won't miss what comes next. Russia is not standing still. It never does. And to understand why the Tryzub matters so much right now, you need to understand how much Russia's drone strategy has evolved, and how much harder it is becoming to stop. Russia's Shahed campaign has grown more sophisticated with each passing month. In early 2026, analysts observed a significant shift in attack patterns. Instead of sporadic overnight raids, Russian forces began launching continuous 24-hour strike cycles, sustained barrages designed not just to damage targets, but to exhaust human operators, deplete interceptor stockpiles, and force Ukraine to make increasingly difficult decisions about where to spend its remaining missiles. Russia has also introduced a growing proportion of decoy drones, cheap foam and plywood models called the Geran and Parity, specifically designed to look like real Shaheds on radar screens. These decoys cost just a few $1,000s each, but they force Ukraine to treat every inbound radar track as a real threat. Ukraine burns through interceptors on targets that were never going to do any damage in the first place. In April 2026, roughly 1/3 of all Russian aerial attacks included these decoys. And there is another troubling development. Russian engineers have been equipping drones with man-pads, man-portable air defense systems, and air-to-air missiles, turning what were once simple one-way kamikaze UAVs into active threats to Ukraine's own aircraft and interceptor drones. The cat-and-mouse game in the skies above Ukraine is getting faster, more complicated, and more expensive by the month. This is exactly why the Tryzub matters right now. Not as a curiosity, not as a future capability to be considered one day, as an urgent solution to a problem that is getting worse, not better, and that conventional weapons cannot solve at a sustainable cost. Let's get back to what makes the Tryzub fundamentally different from every other counter-drone system Ukraine currently operates. The answer is not the range. It is not the AI targeting. It is not even the trailer platform. The answer is the economics. Run the numbers. A Patriot PAC-3 missile costs $3 million to $4 million per shot. A NASAMS interceptor, over $1 million. An IRIS-T round, around $430,000. Ukraine's own P-1 Sun interceptor drone, approximately $1,000 per unit. And the Tryzub? The cost per engagement is essentially the cost of electricity, fractions of a cent. This changes the entire cost exchange equation that Russia has been exploiting for years. Russia's strategy works because it can launch cheap drones faster than Ukraine can afford to shoot them down. Every night, the math tilts slightly in Moscow's favor, but a weapon that costs almost nothing to fire upends that logic entirely. If Ukraine deploys Tryzub batteries around Kyiv, around its energy infrastructure, around its railway hubs, and those systems engage and destroy incoming drones at near zero marginal cost, Russia's attrition strategy breaks down. The drone swarm that costs Russia $500,000 in production costs and currently forces Ukraine to respond with missiles worth 10 times that amount? That swarm becomes far less effective when the defender can engage it with a system that runs on the local power grid. That is not a small tactical shift. That is a fundamental change in the strategic calculus of this war. And it is worth noting that the Center for Strategic and International Studies, one of the most respected defense policy institutions in the world, specifically identified high-energy laser systems as the next critical layer Ukraine needed to add to its air defense network. Ukraine appears to have been building exactly that. The Tryzub, as it exists today, is a single trailer-mounted system. But the implications of this technology go well beyond one weapon on one platform. Imagine Ukraine producing dozens of these systems and deploying them in a networked array around its most critical infrastructure. Each unit covers a specific arc of sky. Each unit is linked by shared radar data to the others. When a drone swarm approaches, the network does not need to deliberate. It reacts instantly, automatically. The first Tryzub in the swarm's path engages and destroys. If anything slips through, the next unit engages, and the next. A layered, autonomous, near-zero-cost defense grid capable of handling hundreds of incoming targets per night without ever running out of ammunition. Now, extend that picture further. Celebra Tech has stated that the Tryzub has potential applications beyond air defense, including demining operations. A directed energy weapon capable of burning through drone components from kilometers away can also be used to neutralize explosive devices, clear minefields from a safe distance, and potentially disable other threats on the ground. Ukraine, which has some of the most heavily mined territory on the planet after 4 years of war, could find transformative use for this technology well beyond the counter-drone role. And then there is the export dimension. Ukraine has already signed drone defense agreements with Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates, and is now in advanced discussions with the United States. The reason those countries are interested is straightforward. They are facing the exact same problem in the Middle East that Ukraine has been living with for years. Iranian Shaheds, the same drones Russia fires at Kyiv every night, were used against American military bases and Gulf infrastructure during the 2026 Iran conflict, draining Patriot missile inventories at a pace that manufacturing cannot match. Gulf states burned through more than 800 Patriot missiles in the first 3 days of that conflict. Lockheed Martin produced only 600 PACE-3 MSE interceptors across all of 2025. The math problem is the same everywhere. The solution is the same, and Ukraine, having lived this problem since 2022 and having built a laser specifically designed to solve it, is now positioned to offer that solution to the world. The Tryzub is a Ukrainian weapon built in the middle of a Ukrainian war, but its consequences, if it deploys at scale, extend far beyond Ukraine's borders. Ukraine has a habit of doing things the world's largest defense budgets couldn't. It built a drone industry from nothing and turned it into a global export power. It built robots that replaced human soldiers in the most dangerous supply corridors on one of the most contested front lines in modern history. It produced interceptor drones for $1,000 apiece that now account for more than 70% of Shahed kills over Kyiv. And now it has built a laser, not a prototype sitting in a research lab somewhere in Nevada, a combat-ready, trailer-mounted, AI-guided laser weapon that entered final testing in early 2026 and is approaching battlefield deployment. Developed against real threats, inside a real war, under real conditions. The Tryzub may not yet be perfect. No first-generation weapon system is. But it does not need to be perfect to be game-changing. It needs to work reliably enough, at scale, to shift the cost-exchange ratio that has defined this conflict for 4 years. And every indication, based on what Celebra Tech has demonstrated and what Ukraine's military has confirmed, points in exactly that direction. Russia has spent years betting it could overwhelm Ukraine from the skies with cheap disposable drones. The Tryzub is Ukraine's answer to that bet. It fires back at the speed of light, and it costs almost nothing to pull the trigger.